Hello and welcome to Zenith Workouts. I'm Rebecca Libby. I'm going to take you through quite a short video today, but one that focuses on mobility and strength for the low body. So this is a nice balance video if you're looking to improve your balance, but it was designed with hip and knee osteoarthritis in mind. So trying to look at maybe the reasons that these conditions develop, and once it's present in the body, what can we maybe do to either slow the progression or ease some of the symptoms so that you don't head downhill very quickly. Maybe you're able to ease some of the consequences of these conditions. So this is designed to be a very basic video. You'll need a chair, and a sturdy one is great instead of maybe a flimsy folding one, something with a little bit of, you can trust your weight on it. If you don't have a chair, you could even use just a countertop or something, a wall to hold on to. But if you've got the chair, we are going to do one exercise sitting for sure. If you find that you have some arthritis in your feet, and that the footwork we're going to do, a little bit of heel raises, coming up onto the balls of the feet, if that aggravates your feet, then you could do this whole first part sitting. So that, for example, we're going to do an exercise where we just work on raising our toes. And if it bothers you to be standing and putting the weight distribution through your toes for that long, you could sit with good posture. And you could do our toe raises, you could do all of our toe work, you could do the heel raises in this position where you're still getting the flexibility in the ankles and a little bit of strength, but you're not putting all your weight through the feet. All right, so if you try the video, it leaves you aggravated in the the big toes or the ankles. You can do this whole first part sitting and then come to standing when I cue you. And when you feel ready, if you do, then you can begin to do it all standing. So. Perfect. So just a little bit of finding where we are in our body at first. I want you to stand with your feet parallel, if possible, and I want them to be hip width apart. So not wider than the hips and not touching, but just right under your hips so that you can feel a little bit solid. I want you to be soft in your knees, and you can hold on to your chair. Or if you don't need to, you don't need it. But I want you to take your weight and I want you to put it all into your left leg. And I just want you to see, how does your body respond to all the weight in your left leg? And can you keep a nice tall spine and body when you do that? Come back into the center and then shift your weight into your right leg and just compare sides. If you do have some arthritis or one joint that is more affected, do you notice the difference? Right? We adapt really well. Our body's great at compensating. Go back into the left leg and just see how that is. Right? And so this is just designed to bring your attention to how your body is responding to old injuries, conditions, balance. Settle into a spot where you have even weight on both your feet. Try to get 50% of the weight in the right and the left leg. And then still holding onto the chair, I want you to shift your weight forward. So I want you to put a little more weight into the balls and toes of your feet, but I want you to try to keep a nice spine alignment, right? So you're not bending at your hips. And then I want you to come back, and I want you to put your weight into your heels. And then come forward. And you're just noticing, how does this feel, and can you do it? Can you trust yourself to shift your weight forward into the balls of the feet? Can you take the weight back, and can you shift the weight into the heels? Okay. From there, and you can still be doing this sitting. This is your whole first sitting part if your feet bother you, if you have any painful conditions in the feet. So now, sitting or standing, I want you to be tall in your spine. You have even weight in the balls and the heels of the feet. The toes are relaxed because you're going to raise the toes. So take a nice breath in. I want you to lift all your toes. And as you exhale, I want you to see if you can get the toes a little wider and pad them down. Okay. So just the toes lift and pad them back down. And what you're looking for here is that if you're standing, as you raise the toes, you're not changing anything in the rest of your spine. You're not having to sway back to get those toes to lift, right? You're doing it with the little muscles in your feet and the front of your shins. The toes are very helpful for your balance, right? And we spend a lot of our time in shoes and rigid footwear, and we might not have the flexibility and that control in our toes that we would if we spent all our time barefoot. So this is your last one of raising just your toes. Try to keep that nice line in your spine, no sway forward or back or bending at the hips, and then put the toes down. And then I just want you to I want you to shift your weight into your right leg a little bit and raise the left heel. And then put that heel back down and change to the right. Okay. So here you're getting a little bit of stretch in the arch of the foot, a little bit of length under the toes. Because a lot of time the big toe gets stiff. Again, whether it's rigid footwear or old injuries, but when you walk, you need to be able to get some bend at that toe. Okay? And if you can't, you'll do it somewhere else in your body. You'll compensate by putting a little more force and stress into your hip, or your low back will compensate. And then, with time, that can result in painful conditions. So just trying to keep that whole, like all the knuckles of the foot on the floor as you raise the heel and change sides. This is our last one. From here, a little bit of balance and strength, still with the feet in parallel. You can do this sitting or standing, so you can still be sitting. A little bit of light touch on the chair, not a huge grip if you don't need it. Take a breath in to prepare, and on your out breath, I want you to raise up onto the balls of the feet and then lower it down. Up onto the balls of the feet and lower it down. You could do this without the chair for balance if you don't need it, but this is designed to be basic. So even though you have the chair there, I want you to keep that spine in a nice tall alignment, no leaning to the side, no leaning forward, and we're just going to try to do 2 more. Up onto the balls of the feet. I turn to face the camera because I want you to notice that as you come up, if you can come up high, great, but you're not trying to overshoot and get really wobbly in the ankles, right? You're trying to keep everything stacked one on top of another. So ankles over the feet, knees over the ankles, hips over the knees. Good. Awesome. Perfect. All right. If you're already sitting, you're in a good position. If you're not already sitting, you're going to sit now. And if you were sitting with your back up against your chair, I want you to wiggle out to be near the front. So maybe you just have your sit bones. You're sort of perched at the edge of your chair for this one. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to challenge your ankle flexibility a little bit by keeping your whole sole of your foot, you're going to move one at a time, on the floor, and sliding your heel back to pull it underneath the chair. So if you're really stiff in the ankles, you might not get the heel back very far before you find that you can't keep it on the floor anymore, right? And if that's the case, you're going to hang out there, and you're going to see if you can put that heel down. Maybe you can't. Maybe you have to come forward a little bit. And then return that leg to be next to the other one. So you're starting in about 90 degrees with the feet right under the knees. And then you're just trying to slide the sole of the foot along the floor and keep the heel on the floor. But it's like you're aiming to bring that heel back and under the chair. All right? I'm a little bit stiff in my ankles. That's as far as I can go before my ankle is really working there. Right? Come back to, and just do one more nice one with each side. Slide the heel back, keep the whole sole of the foot on the floor, get to a point where, that's a little bit challenging, and then see if you can help yourself to press that heel a little deeper into the floor, and feel that in and around the ankle, or maybe as a pull in the back of the calf. Bring it back. And last one with the side. Slide that heel back. Try to keep it on the floor. If it peaks up, try to press it back down. If you can't get it down, just inch forward, a centimeter or two, and then see if you want to be at your threshold, but still able to keep the heel on the floor. Beautiful. And then come forward. Now you're going to bring both legs back a little bit. You're sitting on the edge of the chair, and you can either put your hands on the chair, or maybe your chair has some armrests. And I want you to bring your feet back underneath you a little bit. So bring those feet in so that you can, yes, have the heels on the floor, but it's like you're going to get ready to get up, right? So you don't want the feet way out here. You're not going to get up high. So use the arms for help if you need, but I want you to try to keep a nice tall spine, and I want you to lean forward into your feet before you get up. All right? So you're really committed to being strong in your low body. Take a nice breath, and on your exhale, I want you to lift the bum and sit back down. It's not high, and you're not going to use a lot of momentum. That's why we're going to do it slow. But you'd be amazed at how many of us can't get up without really pressing through the arms. So yes, your arms are here to use a little bit, but as you practice this, you're going to try to do more and more with your legs. So coming forward. This is where your choice of chair comes into be affecting your workout, because if you're really low, this might not be possible. If you're in a higher chair, you might be successful. So play around with what chair you're choosing to use. The higher, generally, the more easier to get up. Good. We're going to try 2 more. So leaning forward, getting your weight into the legs, trying to use the arms minimally, just a little up, because it's that initial that you're looking for. Good. And now coming up all the way. Beautiful. And coming to the back of your chair again. So if you were sitting for this first part, we're done our footwork. You're going to need to be standing now. And you're going to be facing your chair, holding on to the chair with your legs a little bit wider. I'm going to face you so you can see how wide my legs are. All right, but I'd like you to have the chair in front of you. So you're not side to, because that'll just make you a little bit asymmetrical. So imagine I've got the chair in front of me, and my legs, I want you to walk them out to be wider than your hips now. All right? You're tall in your spine though. So you're not looking down at your feet here. You're really nice and tall. You're open in your chest, breathing well. And all I'd like you to do is take your weight and try to put it all in the left leg again. So you're going to have to bend the left knee, and you're going to shift into that left side. And it's just what you can do, right? You don't need to go deep into this. Come back to share the weight evenly between both feet. And then take the weight into the right leg. And come back into the center. Right? And this could be minimal shift, right? This asks a lot of the hip, right? To be able to balance. And also the knee, because you're taking all the weight into that side. But it really will help you with the balance, with walking, with stepping out of a car. Things if you're on a like an uneven surface, you're going to need sometimes a little more than just your usual, walking balance. Good. So let's go into the right. We'll do 1 more to each side. And I want you to try to feel like you really let the pelvis, let yourself shift over that side. Come back to the center. Back to the right leg. And in. And then you can wiggle the feet back together. Good. All right, the next exercise, I'd like you to be side to your chair. Good. And this is a little bit of balance, but it's also a little bit of flexibility for the hip and also for the knee. So you're going to be placing your weight into your right leg, chair for balance. I'd like you to focus on trying to keep your upper body nice and still. So we're going to raise the left leg, and I'd like you to try not to round the spine or pull with the belly to get the leg up. I want you to try to do it just with the hip and bending the knee. So I'm going to move my chair actually so that you can see me from the side. So standing, your right arm is on the chair, your right leg is going to stay still, it's your balance leg. And with your left leg, I'd like you to shift the weight into your right, be prepared to raise the left leg, and then without changing your upper body line, I'd like you to bend the hip to lift the thigh, bend the knee to bring the heel in, and then place it back down. Good, and then you're going to shift, you're going to put your weight in your left leg, get fully balanced on that side, try to use the chair minimally. And it's like you're marching in the spot, but you're really trying to lift that knee and heel without letting anything change in your spine or upper body. It seems like it should be something that's easier than it is, but if you don't do this regularly, it might be quite challenging, right? If you do have some hip arthritis or knee arthritis, sometimes you'll have a little bit of a catch or some pain as you initiate the movement. And that's not a horrible thing. I mean, we would like to improve it, but try it again. Try the movement, whatever it is that we're doing. Like say the first time you did this, oh, you felt that catch. Try it the second time and see, is it any easier? Because if it's getting easier as you're repeating the exercise, it's probably a good one for you to do, right? If it's not, then maybe, if you started out and the exercise was pain-free, but then it's becoming painful, then it's time to back off, right? But sometimes you'll initially have some pain because your body's not used to doing that. You can stop now. But then if you repeat the exercise and it starts to feel better, then that's a good sign, right? Okay. So from here, coming to face your chair again. Bring the feet so they're parallel. Good. And we're going to do a little squat, right? And your focus is on keeping even weight on your legs, keeping the center of your body over the center of your feet. Your hands are there just for balance, and you're going to sit back with the hips, and it's like you're folding at the front of the hips, right? You're not sitting back with the hips by rounding out your low back. You're feeling like somebody's got a little string at your tailbone. They're pulling you out so that your knees are staying over your feet, and you're allowed to lean forward with your chest a little bit, right? And then coming back up to nice and tall, and make sure you get full length in the body. Breath in to sit back. Come up to nice and tall. Make sure you bring that pelvis and those hips right over the knees, right over the feet. Because again, if you're tight in the hips, if you have a bit of arthritis, then sometimes we don't get fully straight. We don't really get those hips to come back over the knees. We stay bent like this, and then we have that walk of, that's what you're trying to improve on here. Good. If you're feeling good, you can sit deeper in your squat, as long as you can keep even weight on each foot and that nice balance. Good. You're going to come here, you're going to hold this one down. You've got your chair or your counter or whatever you're using for support. Take a nice breath in, and I want you just to shift your weight into your right leg. Tell your right leg it's okay to take more than its share of the weight, and then come back to the center. And then I want you to shift and put more weight in your left, and tell your left leg it's okay to take a little more than 50% of the weight. Maybe it's not possible. Maybe you get pain when you do that. You're going to visualize it with your mind. Come back to the center. Do the right one more time. Come back to the center. Good. Do the left. Come back to the center. And then come up. Good. Okay. We're going to do one more nice exercise, which is a little bit of rotation for the hip. A little bit of circle. And you can use the chair. If you're using the chair, you're going to have your right hand on the chair and your right side facing the chair, your right leg. And you're going to put your weight on the right leg. You can have a little bit of bend in that knee, a little bit of softness, but you're balanced on that side. With the left leg, you're gonna reach the toes forward. You're just gonna slide the foot in front of you, and the toes can stay on the mat for balance, or on the floor. You don't need a mat, I just have one. All right? Take your left hand to your hip, all right? And try to keep nice and still in your upper body as we do a little bit of a sort of a semicircle sweep with that left leg. So as much as you can control, as much as you can feel okay to do, you're going to take that left leg and you're going to move it across the body towards the chair. Then you're going to bring it back to straight ahead. And you're going to bring it out and around, trying to bring it to your side, trying to get it behind you a little bit. And maybe it can come right behind you. That would be great. If there's any sort of painful arc in that movement, you can make the circle a little bit smaller. Maybe you're feeling good and you can try to bring the foot behind you a little bit. Just pushing you a little bit here. Come back out to the side. Trace around. This is excellent balance on the leg you're standing on, and you're getting some good nutrition and mobility for the left leg. So that left leg crosses over as much as you can do. Come back to the front. Around to the side, to the back, and cross behind if you can. That's not always possible. If you have some significant arthritis in the left hip, you're not going to be able to do this. Don't worry. It's always good to put the intention out there. Good. We're going to do it one more time. My colleague Kathleen calls this the clock and does it in her regular live classes. If you were imagining that you're looking down at a clock, your left leg's at 12 o'clock right now, and you're going to bring it over to like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Back to 12 o'clock. You're going to continue to sweep it out, 11, 10, 9 o'clock. Keeping going back behind you to 6 o'clock. If that's your thought. Maybe you can squeeze it over to 5 o'clock. Back to 6. Around to 9, back to 12, and then pull that leg in. You should be a little bit tired in the leg that was supporting you now. Okay? I'm going to move my chair, but you can just turn around and hold with the left side on the chair. The left leg is close to the chair. The right leg is free to move. Good. So get balanced on the left leg first. Try to relax the toes. Try to have some weight in the ball of the foot and the heel, little softness in the knee, nice length in that side of the body. Stay up tall. Try not to look down at what you're doing. That's not going to help the balance, right? Then that right leg slides forward. If you're imagining a clock, you're now at 12 o'clock, right? And you're going to see if you can bring the toes across the body a little bit. So now you're going over to like your 11 o'clock, your 10 o'clock. Back to the front, back to your 12. And then staying nice and steady on that side, the left side, let the right leg sweep out to the side. So you'd be going around into your 3 o'clock. Back behind you, aiming towards your 6 o'clock. Again, if you have some arthritis, degenerative changes in the hip, old injuries, that might not be possible. This is what you're aiming for. And you can always keep the foot on the floor. If you're getting, super confident, you can keep it up. You can float it. You still have the chair for balance. Bring it across. Bring it in front. Out to the side. Sweep it around. This is really, really nice work for the hip. But if you haven't done this, if this is your first time, don't be discouraged. It's actually harder than it looks. If you're sailing through this, then you need to try one of our harder videos. This is our last time. Bring that foot across the body first. Back to your 12 o'clock. 1, 2, out to 3 o'clock. Behind you, 4, 5, back to 6 o'clock. Squeeze a little bit over, maybe 7 o'clock. Back to 6. Back around. Really nice balance work here, and you should be feeling it a little bit in the hip that you just worked. Bring that leg in. Shake it out. And before we leave, this is our last thing. Balance and how we move is also usually very related to our vision. So I want you to have your chair next to you or in front of you. I want you to have the feet hip width apart, nice and parallel. And I want you to sort of do a self-test of how much do you rely on your vision for balance. So be soft in your knees, not really bent, but just not hyperextended. Be tall in your spine. And I want you to see, use a visual like focus point, a still point, get your balance. And then when you're ready, I'd like you to see if you can close your eyes and see what happens. If you immediately, boom, head off to one side, then you know you rely heavily on your vision for balance, and maybe you could practice a little bit in a safe place. The eyes closed. Nice breath. In, get tall in your spine. Ready? And just see how you feel. Good. If you feel really steady, great. All right. If you feel like you're solid, you're controlled, you can open the eyes and you can wiggle the feet in closer. Because the narrower your base of support, the more challenging that's going to be. So you could have feet right together maybe, and eyes closed again. Maybe then you feel a little sway in the body, a little bit of correction going on as your body finds itself. All right, if you're really keen, if you feel really good here, again, I think you could probably do a harder video then, or a more difficult level. You could try on one foot. So you could try to be balanced on the left leg, and then close the eyes, right? And do the same thing on the right. But if you can do balance on one leg and close the eyes, then I think you need to up your difficulty level. Most of us at this level, if we've had some challenges, some injuries to various joints, then our balance is affected just from that, because the receptors that give us feedback about where we are in our bodies, they've been affected. So it's not just a matter of strength or the mobility, but it's actually that sense of where you are in space that has a need to be maybe retrained. So, all right, so if you have your eyes closed, open your eyes. Stand nice and tall. Hopefully you feel a little more balanced and center, or just a little more aware of where you need some focus, some work. So if you found this video challenging, try it again. Keep working at it. And when you get to a point where you're sailing through it, you can choose a more difficult one. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.